We've got huge untapped potential in the Scottish economy. We're a land of great natural resources, great communities, great businesses, great places. We need more dynamism and effervescence in the Scottish economy. But community wealth building offers an opportunity. It offers an opportunity to rewire our economy so it truly works for people, place and planet. To develop community wealth building, we obviously need policy and legislation, because policy and legislation creates the context by which we can get tangible actions all across Scotland and all across our economy. So in here in the Scottish Parliament, they're developing legislation, Community Wealth Building Bill, which will help us to solidify the gains we've made, help us to push on further and truly make sure that community wealth building becomes the guiding feature of how our economy works and who it works for. But we don't just need legislation, of course, to do stuff. We already have trailblazers all across Scotland who are working and developing community wealth building. As part of the commitment to building a fairer Fife, Fife Council have made a commitment to community wealth building stretching back to 2020, where they produced an action plan.
We have really three overarching priorities: tackling poverty, supporting the local economy and addressing climate change. And we now have that, rather than community wealth building being something separate off to the side, it really underpins those three priorities that we've got. And I think that's the direction we really want to go in. About 48% of our contracts go to local firms and businesses. So there's a lot of varied benefits coming, as well as benefits to the community groups as well flowing from that. It's really about growing the local economy and spreading the benefits across the whole of Fife.
It was great to be able to visit the spectacular Dunfermline Learning Campus, which showcases how taking a community wealth building approach is delivering locally and lessons that are being learned and replicated across Scotland.
We built in the whole notion of community wealth building or community benefits right in from the get-go. But the other great things, we wanted to create a great environment. So this building is the world's largest, most sustainable building. I think it means doing good and useful things, do good things to improve our economy and to improve economic prospects. I think we're trying to do things to address fairness and tackle poverty. I think we're trying to address the environment. What we're trying to do is show a degree of leadership and a willingness to stretch our imaginations to support the growth of our communities.
The Federation of Small Business, FSB, has been an impactful voice in ensuring that small businesses benefit from the community wealth building agenda.
So it means more opportunity for small businesses in Scotland to do more of what they do best, which is growing their local economies in which they're so often embedded. So that might be increasing more income for the business themselves to circulate around the local economy, or employing local people. Feedback from colleagues has told us that ownership on the part of the local authority, as well as putting in place those strategies with clear targets and monitoring arrangements, have really enabled the success of those pilots. There's an opportunity to increase public sector spend with the smallest, most local businesses, ensuring the sustainability of not just the businesses themselves, but of the wider local economy.
North Ayrshire Council was Scotland's first community wealth building council and works hand in hand with communities and businesses to build a strong local economy.
Right at the very start of our community wealth building journey, we established the Community Wealth Building Commission, and this is a partnership of 9 anchor organisations in Ayrshire. Bringing those organisations together has been really critical. We need to work in collaboration. That really creates that opportunity to do things differently and have a positive influence on the local economy.
In the plural ownership, inclusive ownership pillar, it's really important that we advance social enterprises, cooperatives, employee-owned firms, community organisations and development trusts. Development trusts are kind of key in terms of making sure that land and property is owned, directed and controlled by local people.
The simplest form, community wealth building, is about creating wealth within communities and taking seriously, I suppose, what has been happening in communities for a long time. Creating wealth in communities and keeping it there. So creating the jobs, economic, social, environmental and cultural impacts within communities that can all be encompassed within community wealth building. Also goes further than that with sort of social well-being, cultural, environmental, all of those different impacts that it can have in circulating that finance and funding and money within a local community and keeping it there. As community-led and owned businesses, they have the heart of the community.
Of course, community wealth building is not just in Scotland, it's a global movement. And that movement is spearheaded by the Democracy Collaborative, a US-based research organisation and think tank.
TDC, or the Democracy Collaborative, really invented the term community wealth building almost 20 years ago. And then that model spread. It jumped the pond and spread to England. And we were able to see a full implementation in Preston, which really proved out that when you put together some actions that build on the local economy, things really can improve for people and communities. And then, of course, the work in Scotland has been very important. That was the first time the whole country decided that community wealth building was going to be the primary economic development driver. Here in the U.S., in fact, we have about a little more than a year old network that we helped create of practitioners across the country who are doing various aspects of community wealth building and who are learning from each other. So that, in combination, we have areas where we've tested each of these pillars and have been able to see some impact, and that will just help us improve on the model. So at the end of the day, the beauty of community wealth building is that we can take relatively small steps today that will have an outsized impact tomorrow.
We've got a huge opportunity, a pivotal moment, if you like, with community wealth building. And EDAS, the Economic Development Association of Scotland, says community wealth building should be the mainstay of economic development and our economic future. We're on the cusp of something, and we need to make the best of it. So let's go on.